Here's a little story that caught our attention. A Colorado high school teacher is under investigation. Reportedly, she posted some racy pictures of herself on her Twitter account. Here's one snapshot for investigative purposes, just so you get the idea of what's out there, folks. She's 23 years old. She's a math teacher. Other pictures show her potentially smoking marijuana, drinking alcohol. In some of the other pictures, she talked at one point about a drug bust going on at the high school while she had some of her own stash in her car, and wasn't that ironic? Things like that. Some of the students are supporting her. They say that it's her First Amendment right to use her Twitter feed the way she wants. Other kids are shocked. The district, less than pleased.
It's not something that they would hang on a classroom wall. We recommend that you don't put it on your Facebook or Twitter page.
You have a teacher that always parties, and it's kind of weird just being in that classroom.
If any teacher just posted that on Twitter or Facebook, I mean, they should be fired. It's like a little too much information. She doesn't really need to share that.
Well, you know, I mean, who could really say it better than that, right? Carly McKinney is currently on paid leave. You get to have paid leave, even if you do something like this. So she's still getting paid, but she's at home right now. So let's bring in some of our favorites to talk about the sort of ethical, societal implications of this story. Michael Graham is a radio talk show host and a columnist for the Boston Herald. Anahita Sedaghatfar is a civil litigation attorney for the legal side of this equation. Welcome, folks. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, in some ways, sadly, Michael, these kind of stories are sort of a dime a dozen, but what caught our eye was that, you know, many of the students, and they've been mostly sending out tweets, they're not so much on camera, but they're saying, hey, this is her First Amendment right. This is her social media part of her life. It's not her employer's business what she's doing, and they're fine with that. What does that say about our culture?
Well, first of all, they're high school kids. Come on, fight the power. I'm with the teacher, too. I want you to know, Martha, right now, I'm not wearing any pants.
No,
just to show my solidarity
that's a little
for this
too much
woman.
information.
Here's
like
my
that
advice. Here's my advice. Follow the advice of that great philosopher, Dean Wormer from Faber College. Naked, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, ma'am. The issue is not the First Amendment. You're free to say what you want within, obviously, some parameters. But there's no such thing as consequence-free conversation. And
right.
I have to send I have a teenage daughter. I have to send her to class with Sally Stoner to hang out and talk about math? No. She clearly cannot be a public school teacher and be a public advocate of drinking, smoking, and getting your party on. She has either choice, public school teacher or frat gal. Take your pick.
You know, I mean, and I think it's really telling. A couple of those kids say, you know, I think it's weird that my teacher's partying. You know, they're not comfortable with that. And if she is, they really don't want to know about it. She talked about, she claims some of these tweets are not directly from her. She says she was sharing this Twitter feed. And we should point out that there are a lot of pictures that we could not show you during the day on Fox News here. So, you know, these are definitely the more tame ones.
During the day.
Yes, we would show it to you over at night, perhaps, on other shows.
O'Reilly will show them in a heartbeat. Come on, we all know that.
Well, we'll see. We'll tune in tonight and find out. Let me talk to you a little bit, Anahita, about the legal side of this. Is she protected under the law?
You know, I don't know what this teacher was thinking, and I think the school would be well within their rights to reprimand her and even terminate her. Because, yes, teachers do have a First Amendment right, but the courts have held that teachers' social media posts, if they cause a substantial disruption to the teaching environment, outweigh the First Amendment. And there is no dispute here that these tweets and these photos disrupted the environment. The students all saw their teacher half naked, smoking pot, tweeting about getting drunk and partying. How can you reasonably put this teacher in a classroom to teach these students? You just can't.
It's such a good point. You gotta love the fact that the school district, Michael, is saying, well, it's under investigation. She has a paid leave. I mean, there has to be, and you know, we all know it's tougher to fire a public school teacher in this country than it is to bring in, you know, a homicide suspect on charges. Right. It's very, very tough. So, I mean, can't they, in good conscience, just say, you know what, you're fired. You can't do this. It's unethical.
Well, substantial disruption is a legal term, and that's absolutely right. But they have a very simple rule. Teachers who refer to their own students as jailbait in public don't get to be teachers anymore.
And
it bothers me that there's such a notion that you can't judge other people's behavior. Adults are in the business of judgment. In fact, you could argue that the primary job of a school system is to teach young people judgment. You can learn math and science and stuff anywhere, but do you know how to apply judgment? And this woman has awful judgment.
Yeah, you know, and one of the scary things to me as a parent is that I think that kids see these kind of photos now as no big deal. You know, they're like, oh, she, you know, it's almost like flirting used to be. It's sort of an innocent, like, oh, she just put pictures out. It's really, you know, not a big deal. She's almost as old. She's not that much older than we are in high school, they're saying, and you know, so what? Which is its own sort of frightening issue. Just a last thought, Anahita, on what happens from here.
Yeah. I agree with your other guest. I think the bottom line is that teachers are, like it or not, role models, and they should be held to a higher standard. And if a teacher, frankly, doesn't have enough common sense not to put out tweets on a public Twitter page like this, then they shouldn't be charged with teaching our students, period.
Anahita, thank you so much. Michael, always a pleasure. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Teach your children.